All right, guys, we are live. It is Thursday, the 15th of
Welcome
February.
To the world, baby. I'll paint you red and white and blue. The indoctrination starts as soon as you come out the womb.
I've got a great show for you.
With curriculums at school, and if the classroom doesn't do the trick, we'll make you watch the news.
New York interfering with the election by putting Donald Trump through trials.
We prioritize material belongings over truth.
He has something to say about that. Till then, we got Tom McDonald for you.
Our democracy exists so that you think that you can choose, but our algorithms make you do what we want you to do. What's the problem? Your depressed society has you confused. We got medication for you that you'll probably abuse. Go get married to a lady who also don't have a clue, and pump out a few babies that are just the same as you. Welcome to the system.
Should have said just as dumb as you.
Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom, fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom, fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the world, baby girl. I'll paint you pink if that's okay. We'll encourage self-destruction through the music that you play. We divided out of men by trying politics and race, and honestly, it's working awesome, so for you, we'll do the same. Never teaching you to love yourself, inject you full of hate, objectify your sexuality, then blame you for the rape, and weaponize the differences that make our men and women great. And just to screw with you, erase the genders. Everyone's the same. We'll empower you with rights to vote and fight for equal pay, then have the men turn into women, and you'll fight for them again. But you thought you had it figured out, but everything has changed. Welcome to the system. Please enjoy your stay. Here's a Bible and a bottle of the cheapest booze we make. Find a man who can take care of you to fill the holes we made. Buy a house and settle down, fulfill your duty, procreate, and make a couple babies who will also do the same. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom, fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom, fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the world, everybody. I'ma paint you black and white. I'ma make you hate each other so that
I'ma make you hate each other. I'm the system.
The righteous find the light, but I will also give you science to oppose the word of Christ. And I'ma give you borders, they're imaginary lines. If you cross them, go to war and win when everybody dies. And I'ma give you money that you'll value more than life, and let the 1% have everything while you fight to survive. And then I'll give you politics, I'll call it left and right. And while you divide yourselves, I will conquer both the sides. Can't you see?
What's going on, y'all?
What you choose will never matter because everything.
The computer's still loading. I had a crash. System crash. Welcome to the system. It's crashing, bitches. And you know that all that shit is gonna fall. Whatever can go wrong will always go wrong. Just bear with it. It's still loading all the pages. It's gonna be laggy for a second. Just let it lag, man. It's all good. It's all good. It's just trying to load like a million things because I have so much shit to talk about, guys. Oh my God. There is trouble. Trouble in the world, guys. The troubles, they are a-changing. Yeah. Lots is going on. So many things are going on. I don't even know how in-depth we're going to be able to get into what's going on. Because I kind of want you to see everything that's going on so that you will be well informed. Now, what's going on, everyone? It's me, SpaysE McG. I'm your favorite cartoon nerd with the news, and I'm back at it again, doing what I do, and you know what that is. That is bringing you the news and making fun of reality. That's what we do, right? We make the facts, quote, air quote, the facts. The joke. Hell yeah, I'm glad you had a good Valentine's Day. Oh, you guys are confused on breaks? I'm confused on breaks. I've been trying for 6 hours yesterday to get a new brake line in. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit, guys. All right, so here we are. Here we are at the White House, waiting for the press secretary. Now, oh shit, what's going wrong? Something's going wrong. Quit fucking up, computer. It doesn't like it. Whatever I'm doing, it doesn't like me doing it. Hold on. I gotta find something happening. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Okay, everything's stabled out. Sorry about that, guys. All right, yeah, so who we got up in here? All I see is Girl Gone Dog, Be Happy, and Can Do Andrew. But that's okay. We still got a show for you. Yeah, the audience has just been steadily declining. I don't know if it's because I suck or because of YouTube. You know, I like to take accountability for things. It's probably me that I suck. So, pretty soon it'll just be me out here all by myself yelling at the TV all alone. But I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one yelling at the TV. Judge sets a March trial date. Oh, wait, we gotta get to the news. Judge sets a March trial date in Donald Trump's New York hush money case. Now, in the state of New York, right, it's totally legal for you to pay off prostitutes to keep their mouths shut. So I don't know what's going on here. Donald Trump's hush money trial will go ahead as scheduled with jury selection starting in March 25th. A New York judge ruled Thursday, turning aside demands for a delay from the former president's defense lawyers. The decision sets the stage for a case centered on years old, beyond the statute of limitations, actually, guys, if they had a case, which they don't. Yeah, I am slowly gonna migrate over to Rumble. Other cases charge him with plotting to overturn election results, right? Which is not illegal. And illegally hoarding classified documents, which also was not illegal because he's the president. Those documents weren't classified because he can declassify them. If he says they were declassified, guess what? Guess what? They were. Okay? Yeah, so Judge Juan Manuel Mercan took advantage of a delay in the separate prosecution in Washington related to the efforts to undo the election. That case, originally set for trial on March 4th, has been effectively on hold pending the outcome of an appeal from Trump on the legally untested question of whether the former president enjoys immunity from prosecution. And I'm going to have to say that the Supreme Court is going to rule that the president has immunity for all crimes that he commits under his official capacity as president. I don't understand why we have to argue that, right? I thought that we all knew that, right? That anything the president does on behalf of the American people is immune from prosecution. Now, the hush money trial is expected to last up to 6 weeks, which will make it impossible for the president to campaign over Super Tuesday, which doesn't matter because Nikki Haley will probably drop out of the election the day before South Carolina when the polls show Trump 75, Haley 25. Anyway, assuming the New York case remains on schedule, it will open just weeks after the Super Tuesday elections, colliding on the political calendar with a time period in which Trump will be looking to mathematically sew up the Republican race. He's already sewn it up. Donald Trump has already won the nomination. I don't understand why Nikki Haley is still embarrassing herself. Honestly, I don't. And so Trump came out of the courtroom fired up today. Here's what he had to say.
Team
well, that's very loud.
Have arrived at court. Donald Trump.
Sorry about that, guys.
Facing criminal charges. It's alleged that he covered up payments to the adult film actress.
What?
Daniels.
What? He paid a hooker.
Legal scholars.
Well, that's 1,000,000 times better than Hunter Biden, as we all know, who would rather beat his hookers up and not pay him.
Said there is absolutely no case here. It's not a crime. This is not a crime. And when you look at what's going on outside...
Yeah, no shit. That is a very good point, Andrew. Andrew says they allege interference with an election. So what's the remedy? Interfere with an election. Excellent point, my friend.
Where violent crime is at an all-time high. I think it's it's a great double standard. The other thing, this case could have been brought 3 years ago. There is no case. They decided not to bring it. The district attorney Bragg didn't want to bring it. He said he doesn't want to bring this case. But it's not a crime. We're here for something that is not a crime. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. What it is election interference.
Oh, speaking of election interference, the president called it what it is. Oh my God. Guys, isn't it refreshing? Isn't it refreshing to hear a president that states facts? I'll tell you that. Now, Trump, he may exaggerate claims. He may embellish. He may sugarcoat everything. But all in all, the man is pretty forthright.
It's being run by Joe Biden's White House. His top person was placed here in order to make sure everything...
What's up, Hillbilly Homesteader?
This is a terrible time for our country. This is a real dark period for our country. His top person...
When you gonna make us a video showing off your horsies?
...have been placed into the DA's office to make
He's
sure...
got the littlest, tiniest horsies you ever seen.
There's never been anything like this in the history of our country. With all of this being said, I look outside, I look at the streets, it's so different from when I left New York. It's so different. It's dirty and it's crime-ridden. And today you walk down...
New York is dirty and crime-ridden.
...you get shot, and they're doing this where literally legal experts, legal scholars said they don't understand it. There's no crime. And there was no crime here at all.
There's no crime, exactly. He paid the hooker, goddammit.
I'm leading by a lot. We're leading by numbers that nobody's ever seen before.
If there was any crime, it's Stormy Daniels, right? Who broke the terms of the non-disclosure agreement. I'm just saying, she's the one that violated the written contract. So shouldn't she be the one on trial? I don't know. I'm not a legal expert.
Last time they had a different way. This time they have something that's really down and dirty that frankly, no country does other than a third world country, a banana republic. So we're going to do our process. They want to rush it because they want to get it desperately before the election.
Yeah, desperately. They're desperate to stop Donald Trump.
They wouldn't have brought this except for the fact, no way, except for the fact I'm running for president and doing well. If I were doing poorly, they wouldn't have brought it. And frankly, if I didn't run, they would have been extremely happy because they don't like me running. And
they don't like him running because he's changing the scope and the fucking texture of American politics. I heard someone on Fox News this morning say that it's not really the Republican Party anymore. It's the MAGA Party. And that's fucking awesome.
Like the numbers, the poll numbers have us beating him by a lot.
A lot.
That's where we are. I'll talk to you later after. We don't know what's going to happen. We want delays. Obviously, I'm running for election. How can you run for election if you're sitting in a courthouse in Manhattan all day long?
You can't.
I'm supposed to be in South Carolina right now, where other people are, and where, again, this is where I should be. I shouldn't be in a courthouse for something that...
Yeah, I agree. So that's pretty much it from the president. Now, let's go ahead and check on our lesson on racism from Karine Jean-Pierre. She hasn't come out yet. I pray Trump and Tucker have the very best security. Me too, girl gone dog. Now, guys, there is trouble, animosity, and tempers growing inside the Biden White House, especially in the press corps. The White House's tense podium battle, right? It's between KJP and John Kirby. Oh, there's drama, guys. Let's find out about it. All right. They share a podium and a mutual frustration. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and the National Security Council's John Kirby, excuse me, frequently split the podium at media briefings. But behind the scenes, their relationship is fraught with tension. White House sources tell Axios. As President Biden heads into a rough re-election campaign, rough is the understatement of the year, his top-ranking spokespeople are at odds while navigating a situation in which there's one press secretary in name, but two in practice. One for domestic policy, the other for foreign policy. Yeah, and that's because the girl he put in charge of the press room is incompetent and is incapable of talking about anything that she can't just refer you to White House counsel, that she can't just refer you to Hunter Biden's legal team, that she just can't refer you to her previous statement, which refers you to fucking somebody else in the administration, right? Now, some of the tension stems from how much time each gets at the podium each day. Kirby, a Biden favorite who has become the public face of the administration's response to the fucking Gaza fucking terrorists, has told people he'd like to be White House press secretary one day. Jean-Pierre has told people she plans to stay in the job through the election and beyond if Biden wants her, and that he has asked her not to leave. A White House official told Axios that Kirby never volunteers that he would like to be press secretary. Jean-Pierre and Kirby have split the podium in the White House press room more frequently since Israel-Hamas war began in October, aggravating tensions that began in the spring of 2022 when Jen Psaki, circle back Jen Psaki, departed as press secretary, current and former Biden officials say. Between the lines, they both keep appearing at the podium together for one reason. Biden likes it. Yeah, I'm sure he does. I'm sure Biden likes having somebody at the podium who can actually answer a question. Now, he may not be honest. He may not be forthright. He may not have the best intentions, right? But at least he answers questions. Biden frequently asks for Kirby to personally brief him. Senior advisor Anita Dunn recently had Kirby start traveling on Air Force One for domestic trips, not just international ones. I wonder if KJP gets to travel on Air Force One. Probably not. She was an inexperienced diversity hire from the beginning. Oops, I said the quiet part out loud. No, you didn't. You didn't. That's actually the next article we're going to go into. Now, in the more than 30 press briefings and gaggles since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, Jean-Pierre has briefed reporters solo just once during a gaggle. That's not even a real press conference. That's a gaggle. They don't really get to answer questions. The secretary will just say what's going on. She might take two questions and then they leave. All right. So that's not even really a press conference. Jean-Pierre still runs the press briefings. That's standard procedure for most briefing room guests, but Kirby is there often and has expressed frustration that it applies to him. Some White House aides see the practice as a sign of Jean-Pierre being insecure. Yeah, and I would be insecure. Normally, stupid, incompetent, brown-nosers who only got there because of what they look like and who they know are insecure, right? Now, the aides note that Sullivan calls on reporters himself when he attends the briefing, a practice that began during the Psaki's tenure, right? But Kirby does not get to choose which reporters he answers. Jean-Pierre is the one who will answer, who will call out the reporters and gives them time to ask questions. So Kirby has to take reporters that he didn't choose, right? What they're saying. I don't recognize this description of their relationship at all. The truth is the opposite. They talk all the time and have collegial and collaborative rapport. Yeah, right. That's not what we're going to find out next, right? John Kirby frustrated by Karine Jean-Pierre's role in his briefings. See how the language has changed? Amid ongoing tensions. John Kirby is reportedly frustrated by White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre's role in calling on reporters during his press briefings, following reports of tension between the two White House officials. Mr. Kirby had privately acknowledged, when asked, that he would one day like to be named press secretary. We kind of already read all this. We kind of know all the background here. Now let's see here. A U.S. official said Kirby's new... Okay, so here we go. Kirby has been appearing alongside Jean-Pierre relatively often since Hamas's October 7th terrorist attacks. Kirby was officially promoted on Sunday to a role that will put him in charge of coordinating communications across several agencies. So, it sounds like Kirby might now be Jean-Pierre's boss. I don't know if that's how it works, but it sounds like if he's responsible for coordinating communications across multiple agencies, I imagine one of those agencies is the press corps. Now, so he's literally going to be telling Jean-Pierre what she can say and what she can't say. In the new role, Kirby will direct a small team separate from the National Security Council's press office. He evinces, I don't know what this word is, a clarity and comfort at the lectern that can sometimes elude Miss Jean-Pierre, who's 49 years old. Did you guys know that? Oh man, black don't crack, dude. She looks good. That makes her even hotter to me, right? The fact that she's 49, Evans, to reveal the presence of a quality or a feeling. So, the letter evinced the excitement he felt at undertaking this journey. Okay, I'm sorry. If I see a word I don't know, I have to look it up. That's my rule. Jean-Pierre, 49, a more rote public speaker with less experience tussling with an adversarial press, the Times report. Okay, so what they're trying to say is Kirby has a level of skill and presence that Jean-Pierre lacks. And I agree. I agree with that. The New York Times reported that Jean-Pierre spent nearly half the time at the press briefing lectern on Friday after White House counsel Ian Sams spoke to reporters and answered questions about Biden's memory. The situation was awkward from the start, the outlet reported. The report also said Jean-Pierre had growing pains. At a May 2022 reception on the Truman balcony held in honor of Miss Psaki's departure, Mr. Biden was speaking with a group of aides when he tried to reassure Miss Jean-Pierre not to worry about filling Miss Psaki's shoes, according to two people with direct knowledge of the exchange, the report said. Biden reportedly told her, "You'll have an admiral looking over your shoulder." Ha 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 ha! So guys. What they're saying is that this historic, stunning, brave, first black lesbian needs a white man with experience to save her. Wow, isn't that what we've been saying this whole time? Amazing. Now, I'd like to keep going on with all this drama, but we actually have important stuff to talk about. So we're going to jump into that right now. How's everybody doing out there? Everybody cool? How's the stream? Is the audio good? Is it looking good? You know, whatever. We're going to skip that one. We have more important stuff. We're going to skip over that one. All right. Now, if you guys don't know, terror's afoot. Iran blames sabotage and terrorism after explosions damage key gas pipeline. A key natural gas pipeline in Iran. Isn't it funny how all these natural gas pipelines keep blowing up? Isn't that weird? That's wrong. First it was Russia, and now it's Iran. It seems like people who are enemies of the United States will have their gas pipelines exploded. Isn't that weird? Wow. I wonder who the leading producer of natural gas is. Well, I already know. It's the United States. Now, isn't that weird? Isn't that weird that our enemies... Good. I'm glad everything's going good, guys. All right. Isn't it weird that our enemies have their gas infrastructure destroyed at the same time America keeps producing more and more of it? Wow, it's almost like we run ISIS. Isn't it weird? Hold on. Isn't it also weird? Yes, of course Nord Stream pipelines were blown up by Ukraine and U.S. Special Forces. That's how the story goes. You get a wrench, brother. Welcome to the show. Now, isn't it weird, guys, that ISIS is back? Remember under Obama, all the ISIS problems we had with ISIS? And now that Biden is in, who was Obama's vice president, we're back with more ISIS. And ISIS somehow like the dirty work for the United States. I don't know the two are related. What do I know, guys? I'm just a cartoon. Now, according to Reuters, 2 explosions were reported along the pipeline at around 1 a.m. local time on Wednesday, resulting in disruptions of supplies to industries and offices. The country's petroleum minister, Javad Algi, told state media the explosions were a terrorist act of sabotage without alleging any group's involvement. Yeah, I think they're calling us terrorists in that statement. A state-controlled Islamic Republic news agency reported the explosions took place in 2 provinces in central and southern Iran, although no injuries were reported. The impacted pipeline is around 790 miles long, running from the southern coastal city of Asaluye to cities in the country's north along the Caspian Sea coast. I love Tom McDonald. Attacks against pipelines in Iran are rare, although not unheard of. In 2017, an Arab separatist group claimed responsibility for attacks against 2 pipelines in the country's west. While discussing Wednesday's explosion, Algi mentioned similar incidents from 2011 when more than a dozen mysterious gas pipelines explosions were reported across the country. So Iran is blowing up, y'all. They're blowing that shit up. Now, let's go ahead and check on the press secretary. Just make sure we're still connected and that we're still live with her. We are still live. Okay. That's not the only Iran news. As a woman, when a man spends more time on his hair than me, including beard, he loses my respect. Yeah, I don't spend hardly any time on my hair. I just pull it, if it's getting in my face too much, I just pull it back into a ponytail. Like I have it right now. Now, and then I don't even cut it. Like, I let, like, when I light a bowl, the fire singes all the hair around my face and makes it into a nice shape. So, the fire literally cuts my hair. Hey, what's up, Shemp? I'm glad you made it. So, there's more Iran news, guys. U.S. seizes massive stash of Iranian weapons. I'm sorry. I'm looking for a story that's not up here. God damn it. U.S. seizes massive stash of Iranian weapons headed for Houthi rebels in Yemen, including hundreds of ballistic missile parts and explosives being shipped over on a rusty skiff in the Arabian Sea. Trump does his own hair. That's what I was told, is that Donald Trump styles and cuts his own hair. And if you had terrible hair plugs like that, you would cut your own hair too. Now, U.S. forces operating in the Arabian Sea have seized a massive arsenal of Iranian weapons that were bound for Houthi rebels in Yemen. The latest indication is that Tehran plans to prolong the conflict in the region by supplying the terror group. Photos posted online by CENTCOM, the United States Command in the Middle East, shows a United States Coast Guard ship besides a rusty skiff vessel on January 28. Another shows the cache of contraband that was found on board. Wow, did you hear? My voice did a weird poppy thing right there. The pipeline is probably owned by Iranian mullahs and Russian oligarchs. Probably. The Houthis began firing on U.S. military. We already know all this. Yes, we're in a quote-unquote skirmish with Yemen's Houthis. The rebels have said they will continue firing on commercial and military vessels transiting the region until Israel ceases its military operations inside Gaza as the region stands on the brink of a full-scale war. Okay, here's all the pictures. So, there's the... Look at it. It is a rust bucket. Look at it. There's all the, I guess, missile parts. What is this? I can't read Farsi. I'm sorry, I don't understand Farsi. I guess those are missile parts. That's what they say. Let's go to full screen on that so you guys can see. Oh, it's too big. Hold on. Sorry, guys. There you go. So there's that. Those are supposedly missile parts. So those are the pictures. This is yet another example of Iran's malign activity in the region. Their continued supply of advanced conventional weapons to the Houthis is in direct violation of international law and continues to undermine the safety of international shipping and the free flow of commerce. Yeah, the Houthis are basically pirates. They're not even pirates, right? Because pirates actually take plunder and booty, right? The Houthis can only get their missiles to land on target about 1 out of a dozen times, something like that. That's because of the sheer badassery of America's naval forces. I mean, guys, like I've said this before, but it bears repeating. One of our aircraft carrier groups is bigger than most countries' entire armies, including their military, their like army, their air force, their navy, their fucking whatever. Like, one carrier group is more badass than something like 70 or 80 countries' entire armed services, right? Hey, what's up, blind dude? What? Lifetime breaks don't last forever? How is that? Let's see. There has so far been no comment from Iranian officials on the seizure. Just a day before the seizure, a British warship shot down a Houthi drone in a Red Sea skirmish. See, they call it a skirmish. It's not a battle, right? We're not at war with the Houthis. We're at skirmish. It's a scrimmage match, right? It's what do they call it? An exhibition game. As of Wednesday, the carrier strike group, which includes the cruiser USS Eisenhower, USS Philippine Sea, the destroyers USS Mason and Gravely, and the USS Carney, have conducted more than 95 intercepts of drones, anti-ship ballistic missiles, and anti-ship cruise missiles, and made more than 240 self-defense strikes on more than 50 Houthi targets. On Tuesday, Houthi leader Burqa Jihad said that Israeli ships have been unable to pass through the Gulf of Aden over the last week. The Americans and the British failed to secure Burqa Jihad, the passage of any ship heading to Burqa Jewish pig dogs. The Americans and the British failed. Houthi militants who control Yemen's most populous region have repeatedly fired on international commercial vessels since mid-November, right? And we all know this. There's just a bunch of bullshit going on. These damn Houthis, right? They can't even. Why don't they act civilized? What is wrong with you, Houthis? You guys used to make pretty shitty music, right? Is that the same people? Houthis, the Houthis? Houthis and the Blowfish, right? Come on, man. I can't think of one song by the Houthi and the Blow. I only want to be with you. That's it. God, they sucked. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Hell yeah, it is. Now, okay, yeah, I do have this story. Iran boasts... Hold on. Shut up.
Welcome back.
I get to read the news on my channel. Iran boasts of capability to attack Israeli base after nuclear official indicates ability to create bomb. Yes, guys, we're talking about nuclear Iran again, because it's not just me saying that the Iranians are likely either creating or have. I say they already have it, right? Because, right, I'm of the opinion that Iran's escalating hostility is infused with confidence, right, from their knowledge that they have a nuclear bomb, right? So the reason Iran is acting so hostile and right now is because they likely have a nuclear bomb, or they're so close to it right? That they're willing to pop off, right? Like, it's like, you know when you were a kid, right? Right? You know? And someone would talk shit to you, right? And then you tell them, if you don't shut up, I'm going to whip your ass, right? Well, if that kid doesn't shut up, now you're in a spot, right? So you better hope you can back up the threats that you make, right? And this is what we see. Iran is not shutting up. They're still calling us names, right? Mossad is going to take out some people. Remember the robot assassin? No, I don't know anything about robot assassins. But, yes, I'm all for Mossad going in there and covertly fucking Iran up. Hopefully, now I think that the most badass thing that the Jews could do, my people, is go in there and make them blow themselves up with their own nuclear bomb. Like sabotage their bomb in a way that when they go to test it, they kill themselves. That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. Now, Iran's braggadocio about their nuclear program is reaching new and unprecedented levels. Behnam Ben Taleblu, a senior fellow of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, told Fox News Digital. Iran's former atomic energy chief is essentially hinting that Tehran has all the pieces of a nuclear weapon in place, but disassembled. So they have the bomb. Guys, we've been saying that for months, right? We've been saying since the start of the Gazan relocation incursion that Iran probably has a bomb. That this is a sign, right, that Iran has the bomb. And now, I'm going to make a bold prediction, right? World War III starts when Iran nukes Israel. Tel Aviv, to be precise. That's going to happen. I'm about 75% sure, like confident, that Iran will nuke Tel Aviv. The quiet part out loud here is that Tehran does not fear the Biden administration's response to these claims. He said by tipping their hand about mastered but dispersed nuclear capabilities, Iranian officials may be gunning for a nuclear sweet spot, benefiting from the deterrent dividends of a nuclear weapon without the political and military costs of weaponization. Oh, so they're playing us like suckers is what he means, right? Ali Akbar Jihad Burqa, former head of Iran's nuclear agency, implied in a broadcast on Monday that Tehran has everything necessary to create an atomic weapon. And there he is. There's Burqa Jihad himself. Here's an example. Imagine what a car needs. It needs a chassis, an engine, a steering wheel, a gearbox. Burqa explained. You're asking if we've made the gearbox. I say yes. Have we made the engine? Yes. But each one serves its own purpose. The Institute for Science and International Security and Iran Watchdog Group last week published findings that claimed Tehran had enough weapons-grade material to build a nuclear weapon in just 1 week, ramping up a total of 6 bombs per month in what the group warned was a volatile situation. Mohsen Fakhrizadeh says was killed by assassin robots. Oh, can you drop a link to that? Aussie, can you drop a link to that? If you have a link, I would like to see it. You're now a moderator, so you can drop links. Iran's nuclear weapons capabilities are more dangerous than they have ever been, while its relations with the West are at a low point, the report said. Iran International noted that Tehran officials have previously claimed to have the capability to build a bomb while insisting they had no intention to make one. So, Iran has the bomb. Where does Iran test their nukes? Well, that's it. They're untested at this point. If they test a nuclear weapon anywhere on the earth, including under the ocean and under the ground, we have space-borne technology that will detect it. Thank you for that link, Aussie. Am I saying that right? Oh, cool. Awesome. Here it is, guys. That's fucking awesome. Go Jews. Go Jews. A satellite-controlled machine gun with artificial intelligence was used to kill Iran's top nuclear scientist. That is fucking badass. Here you go. Here you go. Killer Jewish robots! That's even more badass than Jewish space lasers, which are also real. We read about that. Now, it's not just Iran that's suffering strange explosions in their valuable infrastructure, in their important and critical infrastructure. That's the word I was looking for. It's not just Iran. Explosion reported at Russian Space Agency's rocket engine plant in Siberia. Now, this comes just one day after Russia says that they're going to put nukes into outer space. So, a day ago, we learned that Russia wants to put nukes in outer space. And today, well, their spaceship factory blew up. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy how these things just happen? An explosion has been reported in southern Russia, prompting speculation that a Russian defense manufacturing plant sustained damage early on Thursday. Well, isn't that just ironic? Guys, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Russia says they're going to put a nuclear bomb in outer space, and then we blew up. We didn't blow it up. It's just magic. It just so happened. Just so happened, guys, totally unrelated to us, that their spaceship factory blew up. Oh. Hey, what's up, Joker Fish? You're just in time. Look, just one day after Russia claims they're going to put nuclear bombs in outer space, well, their spaceship factory blew up. Viktor Shkitskrev, the mayor of the city of Baysk in the country's Siberian Altai region, said in a brief post to Telegram on Thursday that residents had heard a bang in the area of the industrial zone, but wrote there was no reason to worry. He did not provide any additional details. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's just listen to this. Oh no, never mind. Viktor, the mayor of the city of Baysk, the residents heard a bang in the area in the industrial zone, but wrote there was no reason to worry. He did not provide any additional details. Wow, look at that. It's all on fire. Russians are exactly. It's just it's definitely, this is definitely not a covert strike against our enemies in a dick waving contest to show who really controls outer space. Right? Now, they produce ammunition, propellant, all those things for Russia. Okay? Now, we got Chinese migrants, guys. We're just going to let Dana talk about it because she's way hotter than me. So go, Dana. Tell us about all the Chinese migrants that we're just letting into our country for some reason.
Hey, Dana, good morning. And we are about 60 miles east of San Diego. This is part of the San Diego sector here in Jacumba. It's elevation over 3,000. It's just over 30 degrees here, but yet in this remote area, they're seeing a huge influx. We wanted to bring you here, Dana, to show you here along the border wall. You can see where it meets the mountains in the razor wire, but around that corner, about a 3 to 4 foot gap, and that is where we have seen the influx of so many migrants, particularly 4 foot gap, and that is where we have seen the influx of so many migrants, particularly Chinese. Take a look here at this video shot by our Fox Nation team a few weeks ago. You can see them streaming through. Many of them are migrants from China. Just to put into perspective here, they have seen over 20,000 Chinese migrants across the southwest border.
20,000. Hold up.
90% have come through this.
Under Trump, it was 159. Right? That's 100 times more. More than that. It's actually like 140 times more. Right? Over the last, like 140 times, guys. 140 times more Chinese pouring into this country. And remember, China's not like Guatemala where if you want to leave, you can. Right? Right? You can't leave China like without China saying you can leave. Think about that.
Area, this sector in San Diego specifically. Put that into perspective. Here in San Diego, they've eclipsed that number in the past 48 hours. Now, you can see also the groups of migrants that have gathered here in the Jacumba where they have been coming. They've had more than 9,000 in the sector last week from 73 different countries. Border Patrol Union President Brandon Judd talked about the concern, particularly of these Chinese.
That's another thing with the border, right? Like Hispanics and other, South Americans or whatever, Southerners as I like to call them, coming to the country is one thing, right? Uh-oh. We got the press secretary. Hold on. I got one more story because this is actually pretty awesome. Amelia Earhart mystery most likely solved. The American aviator disappeared. We know all that, right? Her great-nephew, Bram Klopner, and his families have wondered for decades to learn what happened. So, CEO of Deep Sea Vision, Tony Romero, last month discovered debris he is certain belongs to Amelia Earhart's missing Lockheed Model 10E Electra airplane. That's amazing. That's fucking awesome. The image they got does look like the plane, and it is in about the right place where Amelia would have crashed. Isn't that amazing, guys? Isn't that amazing? They found Amelia Earhart's plane. Mystery solved. Turns out, guys, it wasn't aliens. I know that the only thing that makes sense was that aliens from Atlantis came from the future in order to take Amelia Earhart into outer space so that she could ascend the mortal coil. But no. Turns out, guys, it wasn't aliens. I know some of you were shocked to learn that. But it was just like the most logical thing. She crashed into the ocean. Okay, there's no Doocy today. We do have Jackie Heinrich. I gotta turn down the quality. Oh, shoot.
Thank you.
I bet you Jackie's looking like a goddamn queen. Karine is looking stupid.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody.
She can't even dress nicely.
So once
Look at her. Look at her. She looks like she's going to the fucking supermarket to get a box of wine.
again, I'm starting the briefing on a pretty sad note. Yesterday, multiple gunmen opened fire during the Chiefs' Super Bowl parade in Kansas City, killing 2 innocent people and wounding more than 20, including several children. We pray for the families who lost loved ones, and we wish a speedy recovery to those who suffered injuries. Since this horrific shooting yesterday, the president has received regular
What
updates
shooting? Let's go back.
and we wish a speedy people and wounding yesterday, starting the briefing on a pretty sad note. Yesterday, multiple gunmen opened fire during the Chiefs' Super Bowl parade in Kansas City, killing 2 innocent people and wounding more than 20, including several children.
Sounds like a psyop to me. What you notice what they're not talking about, guys, is the crazy left-wing trans, or at least it has a boy's name, terrorist that shot up Joel Osteen's church on Sunday with an AR-15 that said "Free Palestine" on the stock. No, notice how they're not talking about that. Not one word about the trans, crazy leftist, pro-jihadi terrorist that shot up a church. Not one word.
We pray for the families
With
who
this
lost
obvious
loved ones,
psyop.
and we
Yeah,
wish
they're
a
definitely
speedy
talking about it.
recovery to those who suffered injuries. Since this horrific shooting yesterday, the president has received regular updates from his team, and senior White House staff have been in touch with state and local leaders. We also thank both federal and local law enforcement and other first responders for springing into action to prevent the further loss of life. Event in America. Nothing brings more of us together. For this celebration to be turned...
Okay, it was, here we go, Kansas City shooting, latest. 2 juveniles in custody with half the gunshot victims identified as children. Of the 22 people who suffered gunshot injuries during a shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade on Wednesday, more than half of the victims were under the age of 16. The victims ranged in age from 8 to 47 years old. As thousands of Chiefs fans were gathered at Union Station to celebrate the team's recent Super Bowl win, an undetermined number of shooters, opened fire on the crowd, killing 1 person and injuring dozens of others. The deceased has been identified as local DJ and mother of 2, Elizabeth Lopez Galvin. So far, police have detained 3 individuals, 2 of whom are juveniles, but have not released any further details about the subjects or weapons used. President Joe Biden condemned the shootings. Okay, so now we're all caught up. Okay, 1 person was killed. Half the victims are under 16. It was during a Super Bowl parade. Okay, that's all we need to know for right now. I didn't hear anything about this until just now.
Turned to tragedy yesterday in Kansas City cuts deep in the American soul. But the Kansas City shooting was not only the only deadly shooting in America yesterday. 3 police officers were shot in the line of duty in Washington, D.C. And another school shooting took place at Benjamin Maines High School.
3 black teenagers?
Yesterday also marked 6 years since Parkland, and Tuesday marked 1 year since the shooting at Michigan State University. We've now had more mass shootings in 2024 than there have been days in the year. Gotta think about that.
Wow!
Through executive action and
Wow, that's
implementation
deep.
of the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the President has taken action to keep guns out of dangerous hands by expanding red flag laws, enhancing background checks, and cracking down on gun trafficking, while also making historic investment in violence prevention.
You always know it's not white people, because when it's white people, they will say, 3 far white nationalists viciously murdered people for no reason.
But as we all know, it is not enough. Congress must act. Congress needs to act. And it is shameful that we have not seen more action on this.
Hey, what's up, Johnny
We
Arcade?
need to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require safe storage of guns, pass a national red flag law, enact universal background checks, and invest in proven solutions that reduce violence.
I mean, if we're just going to go and generalize everything, why don't we just make it illegal for black people to own guns, right? Since they're the ones doing almost all the shooting, right? Why don't we just not let them have guns,
We
right?
know
If we're going to do everything by race and gender, why don't we take guns away from black people since they commit most of the violent crimes?
these actions can save lives, and our community
Okay, we got
really
some people.
can't
We got Tam
afford
Tam.
to wait. Now, on another note, you saw an announcement today. We are excited to announce that President Biden will welcome President Duda, Prime Minister Tusk of Poland, to the White House on March
And I bet you that he can't remember their names.
12th for a joint meeting. The meeting coincides with the 25th anniversary of Poland's accession to NATO and underscores the United States and Poland's ironclad commitment to the NATO alliance, which makes us all safer. They will discuss our support for Ukraine as well as the strong U.S.-Polish strategic energy security
They
partnership.
definitely didn't get
Its
their
robust
guns at Walmart. Yeah,
economic relations.
that's actually true. So I guess banning black people from guns will make no difference because they obtain many of their guns illegally. That's actually a that's actually a good observation,
And the
Andrew.
United States and Poland's shared commitment to democratic values. And with that, I will turn it over to the Admiral, who's here to share some newly available information that has captured Washington's attention.
Oh my God, she's so terrible at her job, right? She's so terrible at her job, right? She's trying to introduce the Admiral in like a casual way or whatever, but she's like, you can tell it's so forced. You can tell that they hate each other, just like the reports that we read earlier indicate.
As you all know, Admiral?
All right, fuck you, Karine.
everybody.
Can I call on my own reporters this time?
I know that Chairman Turner's letter to House members and his subsequent post on social media about a national security.
Guys, I got to give it up to the Admiral here. The man knows how to dress. Like, that is a nice fucking suit, and that is a nice fucking tie.
threat has prompted a lot of questions. Now, while I am limited by how much I can share about the specific nature of the threat, I can confirm that it is related to an anti-satellite capability that Russia is developing. I want to be clear about a couple of things.
And then, surprisingly, their spaceship factory blew up today after they threatened us with space nukes.
Right off the bat. First, this is not an active capability that's been deployed. And though Russia's pursuit of this particular capability is troubling, there is no immediate threat to anyone's safety. We are not talking about a weapon that can be used to attack human beings or cause physical destruction.
No, what we're talking about most likely is an electromagnetic pulse generated by gamma radiation that's released when a small nuclear device is detonated in outer space. I believe that that's what they're doing.
Here on Earth. That said, We've been closely monitoring this Russian activity, and we will continue to take it very seriously. President Biden has been kept fully informed and regularly informed by his national security team, including today. He has directed a series of initial actions, including additional briefings to congressional leaders, direct diplomatic engagement with Russia, with our allies and our partners as well, and with other countries around the world who have interests at stake. The intelligence community has serious concerns about a broad declassification.
I wish I could afford suits like that, man. I would look sharp as fuck.
Starting with private engagement, rather than immediately publicizing the intelligence, could be a much more effective approach. We agree with that, which is consistent, of course, with the manner in which we have conducted downgrades of information in the past. This administration has put a lot of focus on doing that in a strategic way, a deliberate way, and in particular when it comes to Russia. And there's two things that we always do first when we consider about downgrades. One, we work with the intelligence community to conduct a thorough scrub of that intelligence to make sure that we are protecting sources and methods. And two, we sequence our private diplomacy with our public disclosure to ensure the maximum effect.
So they're talking about releasing documents, but they have to scrub them first. That's basically what he's saying.
Keeping with that approach, our National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan,
hell yeah,
this afternoon
Space
with
Force
committee chairs and rankers this afternoon.
Everybody laughed at Space Force. You guys remember when Space Force was a big joke that the media played? They were like, oh, ha ha, Trump makes Space Force. How stupid is that? Now it's like imperative to our survival as a species.
To brief them on the latest.
God, Trump was right. Put another quarter in the Trump was right jar.
The Senate when they are back in session on the 25th of February. I'm not going to get ahead of those discussions. As I said, we make decisions about how and when to publicly disclose intelligence in a careful, deliberate, and strategic way, in a way that we choose. We're not going to be knocked off that process regardless of what, in this particular case, has found its way into the public domain.
Kirby,
I can assure you that we will
do you think
continue
they're going
to
to ask
members
Kirby?
of Congress as well as our international partners and all of
Do you think they're going to ask Kirby about the Russian spaceship factory that blew up today?
of you and
I
the
hope
American
they do.
people as fully informed as possible. Nothing is more important to President Biden than the safety and security of the American people.
Yeah, that's why he sells our secret to the Chinese, guys. It's for your own security.
That's his top priority, and it's going to remain
I thought his top priority was making money for his crackhead son.
front and center as we continue to determine the best next steps. Now, if I could just briefly, I want to share a few words about the battlefield situation in Ukraine, where the fighting is incredibly intense in the east, particularly in a city called Avdiivka. It's a city that...
How you say that? Say again.
Fighting is incredibly intense in the east, particularly in a city called Avdiivka.
I gotta give it up to Kirby, man. His fucking pronunciations are precise as fuck. That man knows his shit. He makes Karine literally look like a diversity hire.
It's a city that we've talked about several times before.
Because she is.
Unfortunately, we're getting reports from the Ukrainians that the situation is critical. With
The only place not
continuing to
touched by
press
capitalism
Ukrainian
is
positions
space. Well, we need to change that. We need to get some goddamn McDonald's up there.
every single day. Avdiivka is at risk of falling into Russian control. In very large part, this is happening because the Ukrainian forces on the ground are running out
We need to put a Walmart in space so that people can buy guns to shoot down Russian satellites.
of artillery ammunition. Russia is sending wave after wave of conscript forces to attack Ukrainian positions, and because Congress has yet to pass the supplemental bill, we've not been able to provide Ukraine with the artillery shells that they desperately need to disrupt these Russian assaults. Now, Russian forces are now reaching Ukrainian trenches.
No, she is
actively
not
in
well
Avdiivka,
spoken,
and they're
Aussie.
beginning
Aussie, you being from Finland and like not being a native English speaker, speak better than she does.
to overwhelm Ukrainian defenses. The cost of inaction by the Congress is stark, and it's being borne on the shoulders of Ukrainian soldiers. We need Congress to pass the National Security Supplemental Bill without further delay.
Yeah. And no, I was right, guys. It is 10 billion for Gaza. 9-point-something billion. I might as well say 10. So, 10 billion for Gaza, 16 billion for Israel. We're literally funding both sides of this war.
House
Let that
Republicans
sink
do not
in.
act soon. What is happening in Avdiivka right now could very well happen elsewhere along that front. So again, we need Congress to act.
Kirby's a pro.
Thank you. Addressing the matter that you addressed in your topper, Can you address whether the United States has the capability to defend against the Russian anti-satellite system?
We're not allowed to talk about our top secret space lasers, lady. God, why does everybody try to get us to talk about our top secret space lasers that we definitely don't have?
They're developing.
I would tell you that this is still a development, it's still a capability they're developing. We are still analyzing the information that's available to that.
And we don't talk about our top secret space lasers that definitely don't exist.
I would not speak definitively about our strategic deterrent capabilities one way or the other. We don't talk about that publicly. But we're taking this potential threat very, very seriously, and we are examining what the best next steps are and what our options might be. I want to reiterate,
Obama was a badass. Yes, he was very good at speaking.
And it has not yet been deployed.
Charming, funny, and as Joe put it, he's the first black guy that's articulate and clean.
Thank you, Admiral. When was the President first informed of this threat, and what's been his level of interest or concern?
I don't have a specific date on the calendar. He has been kept informed throughout, and our general knowledge of Russian pursuit of this kind of capability goes back
I
many
liked
months.
Obama. I voted for him back when I was a liberal. I'm still a liberal. Back when the Democrats were liberals.
If not a few years. But only in recent weeks now has the intelligence community been able to assess with a higher sense of confidence exactly how.
Them lasers have been in space since about 5 days before the end of the Soviet Union.
Russia continues to pursue it. And so the president has been...
Why do you think the Soviets just gave up?
Briefed on this developing capability really from the outset and has been kept informed throughout. And as I said, today, including today, from his national security team.
There's a term that's been tossed around in the last 24 hours or so I want to seek some clarity from you. Is it a nuclear weapon, a nuclear-powered weapon, or a nuclear-capable weapon?
I'm not going to be able to go into any more detail than I...
My guess is it's a low-yield nuclear bomb that produces a gamma ray, which will create an EMP that destroys all electrical components.
I did in my opening
That's
statement.
my
It
guess.
is an anti-satellite capability that they're developing. And
If it were me, that's what I would use, right? As a small nuke that doesn't, it's not really dangerous, but it puts out a tremendous EMP.
Beyond that, I will not go.
You've spent some time, though, around nuclear material or weapons in your previous military career. What the heck is nuclear capable?
As Rear Admiral Poop Deck.
What is nuclear capable? Well, I mean, I guess it depends on the purpose of the device we're talking about. I mean, we talk about making sure that Australia has nuclear-powered capable submarines, and of course so nuclear energy can be used for propulsion in an engineering sense. It can also be used as a weapon.
So nuclear capable.
And also, it generates an electromagnetic pulse, which disrupts electronics.
Could be
destroys
either of
them.
I am not going to get into any more detail about this particular capability than I have already. It's just not prudent to do that. As I said,
wouldn't be
we
prudent,
work on
not at
downgrades
this
of
juncture.
intelligence in a strategic, deliberate way.
Wouldn't be
We're not going to
prudent.
get knocked off that approach, regardless of what's out there.
Thanks, Hank. Thank you, John. Your statement just now seemed to push back on Turner's call for the administration to declassify this information and the fact that he made that desire.
Yeah, I showed you guys the lasers on the battleships too. Remember? I've been talking about space lasers since you first met me.
Public. But the Intelligence Committee put out a notice about an hour ago that the language was pre-approved by the Biden administration. So are you saying that the language that he put out in his statement on social media was outside of what ODNI approved?
What I'm going to tell you, Jackie, is that, and you've seen us do this, certainly since early 2020, 2021, when
Exactly, Aussie.
When Putin invaded Ukraine, we have been very.
What do you think of my analysis, Aussie? That sounds like a pretty logical thing, right? Is to put a low-yield nuke up there to just disrupt all the satellites.
Be careful.
Because then they don't have to blow anything up because the EMP will travel miles in space. I imagine it will travel forever, right?
About what we decide to declassify, downgrade, and share with the public. And there's a process, Jackie. It starts with an analysis of whether information can be downgraded safely without violating sources and methods, without putting it in jeopardy our ability to continue to collect information and intelligence. Then, usually, there is an engagement strategy that goes along with that, where you talk to allies and partners, maybe the country in question, certainly members of Congress. You do that through intense internal diplomacy. And then, and only then, when that's complete, you work with the intelligence community on specific language to downgrade. What I would tell you in this case, and Jake mentioned this yesterday, we had already begun that process of analyzing it, of making sure we weren't violating sources and methods, informing members of Congress. The president directed the team to start to inform allies and partners, including, not that Russia's an ally and partner, but to include diplomatic engagement with Russia.
Oh, is that a slip?
And then we would eventually get to a point.
What? Don't tell me we're funding Russia to invade Ukraine while we're funding Ukraine to fight Russia. That would be insane.
Where we would downgrade and declassify. So we were already on the sort of the arc of that process when yesterday this information regrettably found its way into the public domain in advance of our ability to do this according to process.
Regrettably, though, if the administration had been working with the committee to approve language that would make all of this known to all members of Congress.
If there's
That's mighty astute of you, Aussie.
Somehow the administration gave a green light for this information to get public yesterday, that is false. That is not true. That did not happen. We were eventually going to get to a point where we were going to be able to share it with the American people, and we still will, as appropriate. As I said in my opening statement, we'll keep you as informed as we can. Now's not that time for us to go into any more detail to this.
Push back on the characterization that
Jackie's looking nice in her black outfit today, boy.
Said that they had been informed. When did that happen?
We are in the process, again, which is why we're not going to be downgrading everything.
Her makeup
here
is always
today.
on
We're in the process of consulting with allies and partners. We are in the process of engaging with Russia about this. And we think, no, it's a crazy thought here, but we kind of think it's important to follow that process and do it the
all of the things that come out of this administration are crazy thoughts. That's pretty much all you guys are capable of.
right way, rather than just rush to put something out in the public domain.
John, when we talk about the potential to cripple satellites can be used to drive everything from weather forecasting to wars. You say this is something that would not impact those of us on Earth. Why should Americans be concerned about a Russian capability that would target satellites?
Any anti-satellite capability should be of general concern, because you're right, there are...
Then why aren't we talking about the anti-satellite weapons China absolutely has deployed into outer space? You know, isn't it funny? Russia, but China's actually doing these things. They're not talking about it, right? They've done it, right?
Private and public satellites circling the Earth every day. They do a number of things. Well, you talked about you talked about some of them there. Communications, command and control, transportation,
what's the U.S.
meteorological concerns, financial, commercial concerns. There's a lot of things the satellites do for the whole population of Earth. And so any capability that could disrupt that and that could therefore have some impact on services here on Earth and across the world should be of concern to anybody, I think, and including the fact that we have astronauts oftentimes in low orbit.
Yeah, with Russians. Matter of fact, up until like a couple months ago, the Russians were taking us up to the space station.
Could be at risk from an anti-satellite capability. So you're talking about potential human lives here, too.
We heard from leading lawmakers, including those on the House Intelligence Committee, saying, among other things, that this is not a immediate-term threat. This is not an imminent threat. It is a medium to long-term threat. When we talk about medium to long-term threats, so Americans could feel comfortable with the state of this information, What does that mean? What time frame are we talking about in terms of the concern?
I hope you'll understand I'm not going to get into too much more detail than I already have. I mean, as I said, I'll stick with what I said. It is not an active capability that is yet deployed.
Thanks, Karine. I appreciate it. Heard some members of Congress describe Turner's actions as reckless. Given how you started this briefing, is that how you would characterize what he did yesterday?
I would just tell you that we have followed a very rigorous process about how to determine whether information can be and should be downgraded and shared publicly. We were and are in a process of that with this particular capability. And as I said in my opening statement, we're not going to get knocked off that process. We're not going to have our hand forced to get out there faster and further than we think is appropriate.
Are you concerned that all members of Congress now have had access to this classified intelligence?
That's really for Chairman Turner to speak to, since he made that decision to make it available to all members of Congress.
This is ridiculous.
This is based on this. Look, well, again, we'll let Chairman Turner speak to his decision about how to share the information. It is based on information that we, again, are still in the process of analyzing and sharing.
Yeah, blind dude, they absolutely can make stuff EMP proof. Unfortunately, now here's the thing. In order to block electromagnetic waves, so what you basically have to do is build a Faraday cage around the device. Now, once you do that, it's no longer a effective communication tool because it cannot transmit or receive electromagnetic frequencies like radio waves, right? So if we put a Faraday cage around our satellites, they're no longer communication devices, right?
With allies and partners, and
so it's like a catch-22.
We don't believe we should be at a point right now to be too forthcoming in all the details of it as we work through this process. But as I said, as we do with every other downgrade, we'll get to a point certainly where we'll share with you as much as we can.
But just to clarify and to follow up on Jackie's point, since the chairman is now saying that some language was cleared with the administration, can you tell us what
like if you put your phone inside a Faraday cage, you'll immediately lose signal because it blocks all electromagnetic radiation, including radio waves.
How wide that clearance was?
No, I'm not gonna get into that, and I'm not gonna speak for how he came to make this decision. We have a process. We're going to stay on that process.
Thanks, Karine. Thanks, Admiral. The Kremlin spokesman said today that the bringing up this issue of the Russian anti-satellite capability is a ploy by the White House to pressure Republicans in Congress to pass the supplemental and get aid to Ukraine. What's your reaction to that claim?
Bollocks.
Just one more thing, if I may. Thank you for that answer. Last night, the leaders of Australia, Canada, and New Zealand issued a statement warning Israel against any offensive in Rafah, saying it would be devastating and catastrophic. These are some of the closest U.S. allies and part of the Five Eyes group, obviously. Can you tell us why the United States thinks differently to them and still feels that it's possible that Israel can offer that may be able to offer a credible plan for an offensive that can protect?
Oh, I don't know anything about that, Aussie. That sounds interesting.
What they've been saying.
I'd like to learn about that.
I can't speak for them. I can just tell you that we continue to believe that under the current circumstances, without a credible plan, as the President said, to account for the more than 1 million Palestinians that are down in Rafah, make sure that they have a place where they can be safe and secure and out of harm's way. Without that credible plan, a major operation in Rafah would be a disaster. We agree with that. And we're continuing to talk to our Israeli counterparts about what that plan might look like.
John, thank you. Going back to what you were saying to Peter about satellites, life as we know it revolves around satellites, and it sounds like something would be greatly impacted, or even gravely, if these satellites were attacked. When and how and why would the national security threat right now go up higher if something begins to move in a different direction? Can you tell us when that and why would it go up higher?
It's difficult to answer that.
Remember, guys, why are we bitching about Russian spy satellites that don't exist when literally China amasses arsenal of anti-satellite weapons, right? Why aren't we talking about this? Why is this going undiscussed? And we're worrying about a hypothetical attack from Russia from the machines that don't exist, right? Weapons that have yet to be created, right? When China is progressing with the development of missiles and electronic weapons that could target satellites in low Earth orbit and high orbits, the Pentagon says. China already has operational ground-based missiles that can hit satellites in low Earth orbit, guys, right? Like this, like why aren't we sanctioning the Chinese over this shit, right? Right? We're being set up. We're being set up. Back to Kirby.
That question at this point when we're talking about.
And why isn't anyone asking Kirby about the Russian spaceship factory that blew up today, right? Like, doesn't it seem like those two things might possibly, be causal?
A capability that we don't believe is active and not deployed. We will engage directly. We plan to engage.
It's because these aren't reporters. They're spooks.
And as well as
they all have their orders not to mention that at all, I bet.
As allies and partners, and as I said, we'll continue to work through what our next steps and our approaches might be. I don't want to minimize the...
Because China is in Joe's back pocket. I think it's the other way around there, Andrew.
An anti-satellite capability of any significance. It could affect services here on Earth. There's no question about that. That's why we are taking this so seriously.
So, and lastly, as we're dealing with this and looking at the complicated relationship that the United States has had with Russia, and you say you're going to go into conversations, do you really trust Russia when it comes to the satellite?
There's no issue of, it's not about trusting, and I think our record on dealing with Russia appropriately, I think, is pretty well established. We don't.
Yeah, you guys sure know how to deal with Russia. Look at how those sanctions stopped Putin from invading Ukraine. Yeah, look at how sending the Ukraine military weapons has totally helped them kick Russia out of Ukraine. You guys are doing such a bang-up job. It'll only take another $100 gazillion, and we might actually take one city back.
Blind trust with Russia. In fact, it's quite the opposite.
Is the trust verified?
Look, we're not of Russia. What they say, we watch what they do. And we analyze what they do, and then we make our own decisions, our own policy decisions about what we're going to do based on their actions or their inactions.
Thank you, Karine. John, staying on Russia before I move on to the Indonesian election, but on a slightly different track.
Joe has his hand in the honey jar.
Would be more stable and better than a Trump administration.
Joe has honey all over his face, claiming he doesn't even know what a honey jar is.
Reaction?
I think Mr. Biden I think Mr. Putin knows very well what this
Biden, Putin, what's the difference?
Has been doing to counter Russia's malign influence around the world, and certainly what they've been doing inside Ukraine. We've demonstrated over and over and over again how willing we are to push back on what Russia's doing, again, particularly in Ukraine. And Mr. Putin should just stay out of our elections.
And on the Indonesian election, the candidate Prabowo...
Hey, what's up, Crappy? What? That was an epic show last night. I was watching. I kept coming in and out of it. Yeah, bro. Yeah, I was busy writing code, so I didn't want to... I was typing on my computer doing other things, but I listened to it for a while. And then listened to something else and came back like hours later, and you're still going.
Victory. A couple of questions. Number one, when does the administration plan to congratulate him? Are you planning to wait for official counts to come out, which could be days or weeks? And number two, this was an individual who was banned from entering the United States for many years due to allegations of human rights violations, including the abduction and torture of pro-democracy activists during the 1998 ouster of his then father-in-law, President Suharto. So is the administration comfortable working with a person with such a track record?
We'll make our congratulations known at the appropriate time. I don't have, I couldn't give you a date certain or a time certain for that. As I understand, the results are still coming in. And we will respect the vote and the voice of the Indonesian people.
So, but just to clarify, though, the Trump administration did grant Prabowo Subianto, who was then Indonesia's defense minister in 2020, and invited him to the U.S. because of concerns that Jakarta may be veering too close to Beijing. I wanted to know what the Biden administration's view is of balancing between American human rights values and geopolitical expediency.
That's a tough
I
question.
think the only way I can answer that question is...
Imagine if Karine was up here answering the question. She'd be like, I can't talk about that because it is covered by the Hatch Act, so I'm just going to refer you to Jakarta.
The creator of human rights, civil rights have been at the forefront, the very foundation of President Biden's foreign policy. There's not a conversation he has anywhere in the world with foreign leaders where he's not raising issues and concerns about human rights and civil rights. That's not going to change.
You can take one more question on the House Foreign Affairs Committee today, hearing today on the Afghanistan withdrawal, accusing the Biden administration of reinventing the Doha Agreement and creating conditions that are right for a Taliban takeover. Could you give a reaction?
We have talked and briefed at great length about the situation we found ourselves in when we came into office, and a Doha Agreement that was agreed to by the previous administration. I would point you to every public comment and testimony that we have done before. I don't think I need to relitigate that. The president was faced with a stark choice given the decisions that President...
Yeah, he could either follow the advice of his military commanders, A, B, follow the agreement made by the previous administration, that was B, or C, try to schedule the withdrawal from Afghanistan to coincide with the 9/11 terror attacks, pissing off everybody and getting Americans killed. Gee, I wonder which one he would take.
President Trump made about exiting Afghanistan.
As Joe Biden, or as Barack Obama once said, never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to fuck everything up.
So Martin Griffiths, the UN aid agency chief, today said in an interview with Sky News that Hamas is not a terrorist organization. He later clarified that it is not on the list of groups that the United Nations has of terrorist organizations. What's the word from Washington and from the White House about those comments by Martin Griffiths?
Hamas is a terrorist organization. We've said so. It is.
Then why are we giving Hamas $9.1 billion in this Senate border bill, arms whatever they're calling it now, the happy trees and unicorns bill? Why are we giving Hamas, a known terrorist organization, $9.x billion, $10 billion?
October to see it in stark terms, and my goodness. Take a look at their manifesto, even the one that's so-called watered down in 2017. There's no doubt they just want to wipe Israel off the face of the map.
Then why are we giving them $10 billion? Why are we giving Hamas $10 billion if they want to wipe Israel off the map? And then why are we giving, and if we support Hamas, why are we giving Israel $16 billion? Please make any of this make sense. Please.
Is a terrorist organization, pure and simple, period.
Is it helpful? I mean, do you find it, have you reached out to Griffiths to...
I'm not aware that we've done any reaching out, nor do I think we need to. We have made very clear our views of what Hamas is.
Okay, and then I just wanted to follow up. Israel's finance minister has ordered these flower shipments not to go into...
I agree, Captain Crappy.
They're going through UNRWA. Over the
Joe Biden sucks.
Administration officials said that there was hope that those flower shipments, including a very large U.S. shipment, could actually be delivered. It would feed...
No, because the Hamas will take the flour, they'll take the sugar, they'll take a little bit of salt, and they'll make motherfucking bombs. They'll make rocket engines out of it. They'll make solid fuel for their rockets, right? Like, that's literally what they're going to do with it, right? It's funny that we're sending them the exact things that they need to make fucking solid fuel rocket engines. Rocket candy, as it's called.
Feed something like 1.4 million goslings over 6 months. What is the status of that, and what can you do to ensure that those shipments get in?
I wish I could tell you that flour is moving in, but I can't do that right now. And all I can tell you is that it's absolutely critical as a staple for the Palestinian people, and we're going to keep working with our Israeli counterparts to see if we can get that port open to that flour. It's absolutely vital. They committed to allowing it in. We want to make sure that happens.
Did Netanyahu assure the president over the weekend that that was going to happen?
I don't have anything specific from the call that they had about that particular issue, but believe me, we're mindful of the comments made by members of the cabinet about flour in the Ashdod port, and we are working it very, very hard. It's critical that that flour get to people in need.
And then just one more on the anti-satellite weapon capability. So in 2007, the Chinese destroyed a satellite on orbit, smothered into many, distributing a lot of debris. At that point, there was a demonstration of a U.S. anti-satellite
sugar, potassium nitrate.
That was.
They're making rockets out of it, guys.
Using a weapon on the ground to destroy a satellite that was going to be falling to Earth that posed some danger. Can you say?
I'm not making this up.
The new
they are.
capability that the Russians have developed is in fact space-based, or does it involve some test of a weapon that is based on the ground?
It would be it would be space-based, and it would be a violation of the Outer Space Treaty, to which more than 130 countries have signed up to, including Russia.
If I could circle back to the direct
circle back. Is that
has that contact
is that Jen Psaki?
with Russia on
oh no, it's not.
We are in the process of that.
On what level is it?
We've reached out to we reached out to the Russian side.
No, that girl's cuter than Jen Psaki. I do have to say though,
when you're thinking about declassification,
MSNBC, they know how to do makeup over there because they can hide all of her freckles and they can make her nose look like a little bit like more curvy, and they know how to make Jen Psaki look fuckable. Over in MSNBC.
Be concerned about not revealing sources and methods. The way that this was rolled out yesterday, is there any concern that sources and methods have already been compromised?
We're asking ourselves that very question right now because we want to be able to make sure we're not, or that in any way, shape, or form anyone could potentially compromise sources and methods. So we're working our way through that analysis right now with the intelligence community.
And if I could, really quickly on Israel, it's our understanding that the CIA Director, Bill Burns, traveled to Israel to meet with Netanyahu today. What was his message to him?
I make it a golden rule not to speak to the CIA Director's travel. I'd have to refer you to his staff on that. But I will tell you, just in general speaking, I'm not going to talk about his travel, but
space needs to get laid.
Very deeply involved in
I do.
With the hostage deal negotiations, and that work will continue. And we are very much shoulder to the wheel to see if we can get something done.
John, you said that the administration is in the process of reaching out to Russia about this issue. I'm just wondering if Chairman Turner's actions in any way complicates those discussions for you, makes it more difficult.
We'll have to see.
Thank you. Thank you, Karine. I have two questions for you, John, on Polish leaders' visit to the White House next month. On March 12, 1999, 3 countries were admitted to NATO: Poland, Czech Republic, and Hungary. Why President Biden invited only leaders from Poland? And the second question, why he invited both leaders, the Prime Minister and the President? This is quite unusual, but 2 leaders from one country, especially that the President Biden had not invited the former Prime Minister of Poland to the White House. He only met with Vice President Harris.
This is a great opportunity to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Poland coming into the alliance. It's also a terrific,
or as Joe Biden calls it, Polen, which is actually how the Poles say it, but whatever.
To show our gratitude for everything that Poland has done, not just as a great NATO ally, and they are, but everything they've done to help support Ukraine, including security assistance and hosting more than 1 million, I think it's 1.5 million, Ukrainian citizens on their soil. They've been generous, they've been spirited, they have been strident in the support of the alliance and in Ukraine, and the President's looking very much forward to seeing both leaders here in Washington, D.C.
Both at the same time. Right?
This was all done in consultation with our Polish counterparts in terms of how we were going to structure this meeting. And again, the President's very excited, very much looking forward to it.
They're probably also going to talk military strategy. As we discovered, there's a little tiny piece of Russia, right, that's surrounded by Poland. So literally, Russia has to invade Poland in order to have a route from Russia to the Bering Strait or whatever, to the sea, right? Russia's like a landlocked country, right? So it's important for Russia to have access to shipping lanes, and they do have one like village or whatever on the shore by Poland, but that is surrounded by, so there's like a little piece of Russia inside Poland. And as we read a few weeks ago, Putin is making plans to annex that corridor between Russia and its other little tiny enclave in Poland, right? So I feel like this meeting is also strategic regarding that situation.
Thank you. Now that the Pakistani elections are over, several U.S. congressmen have raised the concerns about the way it has been handled. They say it's not free and fair. Does the White House believe that the Pakistan elections were not free and fair and the people's mandate is not being respected there?
The only elections that are free and fair are the ones that we rig, right? The CIA, their specialty is rigging foreign elections. Just like they rigged the 2020 election here in the United States.
And we share concerns about some of the reports that we've heard coming out of Pakistan in terms of intimidation.
In fact, the way they use the social media companies in order to disseminate disinformation is a tactic that they developed in the 1970s. And that's how we've overthrown countries all over the world.
Suppression. That kind of thing, and so we're watching this very, very closely. And as I understand,
yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry.
So international monitors are still taking a look at those.
I meant yes, to the ocean. Yes, you know what I mean.
Last several weeks, several Indian students and Indian American students have been attacked throughout the country. There's concern amongst their parents. As you know, India sends one of the largest number of students to the U.S. There's some concerns in India and the parents that the U.S. is no longer safe. Could not.
Oh, and then Finland's next, Aussie. You know that Russia has been trying to invade Finland since like World War I. You guys are badasses. You guys fought the Russians off. You fought the Nazis off. And you're probably going to have to do that again.
No longer safe for their students and reluctant to send their kids here. What is the message to them?
There's no excuse for violence, certainly based on race or gender or religion or any other factor. That's just unacceptable here in the United States. And the President, this administration, has been working very, very hard to make sure we're doing everything we can to work with state and local authorities to try to thwart and disrupt those kinds of attacks and make it clear to anybody who might consider them that they'll be held properly accountable.
John, you mentioned the Outer Space Treaty several questions ago, and that is, as you said, enforced, but Russia has pulled out of several arms control treaties in the last few years. Is the administration confident that...
Oh, you're a badass!
Not going to...
Everybody give a round of applause for Aussie. Way to go, brother. Way to go. Keep your people safe. Be ready to fight, bro.
Go the same way.
They're coming.
That there's faith in the Russian government to not unilaterally violate the treaty, and if they do, will the U.S. pull out of the treaty to keep pace?
Whether what Russia does with its treaty requirements is up to Mr. Putin to decide. I can't answer that question, and I'm not going to get into a hypothetical about what we would do or what we wouldn't do. We are engaging, we're going to engage with Russia, we're going to engage with our allies and partners. We are a signatory to that treaty. We take our obligations under that treaty very seriously, and we have no intention of violating it.
There's been some speculation that the spur for developing this weapon has been the use of U.S. launched satellites from SpaceX by Ukraine, Starlink satellites. Is there any truth to that? Is there anything that you can say on whether this weapon?
Whether that's the motive here? Yes. No, I'm not going to get into the intelligence.
Okay, so the question is Russia specifically developing these weapons to knock out Starlink satellites that service Ukraine?
This analysis, as I said, we're still working our way through this. We still have to brief members of...
From what I understand, Russia shouldn't be too worried about those satellites. Like 1 out of 40 of them fail.
Congress, allies, and partners, I'm not going to get into that.
It's the dumbest idea that they've ever had with Starlink. We already have perfectly good satellite internet from Viasat. I used to work for them. Their service is great. It's expensive, but not as expensive as Starlink.
Situation that the information that was disclosed made its way into the public domain. Well, that was Chairman Turner. Have you ever had a situation before where a chairman of an intelligence committee has disclosed publicly information of this nature or any other intel information that normally stays within committee?
I don't know of a similar instance here, but as I look back at the news coverage yesterday, just to be clear, much of the reporting about the supposed alleged details of this capability came from anonymous officials.
Thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. So, there was Kirby playing cover for the first historic black secretary of gayness, right? But now she's going to have to come out here and answer questions all by her little self. I wonder how many times she's going to refer us to White House counsel. I wonder how many times is she going to, fumble, stumble, and I wonder how often. I wonder how many strokes she's going to have. Let's watch. But I do got to hand it to her. She is sexy as fuck for being 49 years old, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Darlene.
Thank you. Do you have anything to share on a lockdown at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana?
Whoa.
No, that's the first I'm hearing about that. So I would have to look into that and get back to you on that.
Secondly, in
she
Venezuela,
doesn't have any
the government
answers.
Today ordered the local UN Office on Human Rights to close up and gave its staff 72 hours to leave. Is there any reaction from the U.S. to that?
So I don't have any reaction at this time. Obviously, that's something...
Active shooter, guys. Active shooter at Malmstrom Air Force Base. Leadership at the Malmstrom Air Force Base. This is just breaking right now, guys. Leadership at the Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana reported an active shooter situation on social media. The base went into lockdown about 10:30, and people were advised to leave the area. No details were provided on the possible threat. I've spoken with base leadership about reports of an active shooter at Malmstrom, and will continue to track the developing situation closely, Senator John Tester of Montana said on X, formerly Twitter. My staff and I are closely monitoring the active shooter alert and lockdown at the Air Force Base and stand ready to assist local authorities in any way possible. All right, so that's what's going on there.
Obviously going to continue to monitor. I just don't have an immediate reaction to that at this time.
Final question. The CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, was then...
What do you know? Guys, the first question, she didn't even have an answer. Who's shocked? I'm shocked.
An auto conference in New York today. He said the company will have to rethink where it builds future vehicles after the long UAW strike. Could this be a downside of union negotiating such a big contract? And is there anything the White House...
No, 49, yeah.
jobs from moving south.
That makes her twice as hot in my book. I love older women. Yeah, I thought she was young too. Because she looks so young. But no, she's 49.
Talking about moving auto manufacturing out of the U.S. after the UAW strike.
Well, let me just say that the president takes that very seriously. That's one of the reasons, if you think about the Chips and Science Act and other legislation that
I'll have to refer you to the DOJ.
been able to get passed and obviously signed into law, bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., creating more than 800,000 manufacturing jobs under this.
Actually, we've lost like 90,000 manufacturing jobs since Joe Biden has taken office.
Administration. Obviously, is something that he takes really seriously. He believes
We've actually lost 90,000 jobs.
He believes in investing in America.
I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that continues. As it relates to the beginning of your question, the president is a union guy.
She sounds like she's 15.
Is the right of union workers. He believes that it is important, just like the.
She looks like a little porcelain French doll that got burned in a fire.
UAW was able to, they were able to negotiate for their historic contract. They should be able to do that. They should be able to ask for better benefits and better wages, and so that is something that the president is always going to speak for and is going to stand up for. You hear him say this all the time. Unions build.
Look at her eyelash. Look at her eyelids. That's how you know she's lying. Look at her go. There goes her eyelids.
And you hear him say this all the time. Unions build the middle class, and he believes that. And as it relates to manufacturing, he has proven.
He also says all the time, sugar It's
proven through Chips and Science Act.
United States America.
As I mentioned, other policies out there that bringing back manufacturing here into the U.S. is important. It's critical. Creating good-paying jobs here in the U.S. is important. It's critical. We have to build an economy from the bottom up, middle out.
From the bottom up and the middle out. Okay, at least she said it right, because Joe Biden says middle out and bottom up, and we all know that if you build the middle out, the whole thing collapses. Right? You got to build it from the bottom.
Thanks, appreciate it. We've seen estimates from some experts that the new policy.
Her eyelids are her tell. I know. I wish I could play poker with her. I would take all of her clothes.
Opening up the possibility of debt relief for borrowers could reach actually.
But I would leave the pearl necklace on if she's wearing it today.
Still a while off. Still in the rulemaking.
I love her in that pearl necklace that she wears sometimes.
So what's your message to borrowers right now? We're looking at this news. How should they be looking at this process? Can they get their hopes up?
So look, I'm not going to get ahead of commenting on what CBO is going to say. I'm not going to do any projection from here. The president has been very clear. It's kind of in line of what I said to Darlene about the importance for fighting for Americans, the importance of making sure that we give them a little breathing room. That's what the president believes.
They need a little bit of a breathing room, guys. Everyone just needs a little bit of a breathing room. America doesn't have 90,000 manufacturing jobs to lose. Actually, we do still build stuff. We build cars, we build bombs, we build ships, we make bullets, we make guns, we assemble things that were made in China here.
And when it comes to his student debt relief, that is that. We see there are families across the country that's crushed by student debt. And that shouldn't be. And it prevents them.
It's crushing them. I'm being crushed by student debt.
Moving forward with buying a home, starting a family. And so it is.
I took my stupid engineering degree, and now I'm building crypto projects to decentralize social media. And so I'll never be able to get a job. I'll be blackballed from the entire industry.
It's important that the president believes that it's important that we do everything that we can to do that. He has launched.
Oh, we're still building Stratocasters here? That's cool.
That's important, and he'll continue.
I thought they were building like Malaysia or something.
To give relief to borrowers across the country. So that's not going to stop him. I hope that's what Americans continue to hear, that he's going to do everything that he can to make sure that we give Americans a little bit more breathing room.
How confident is the White House that this new rulemaking approach will hold up in court?
So look, we believe that this will stand up in court. We believe that that's one of the reasons why, obviously, the Department of Education published this new proposed regulatory text, and so we're very confident. we're very confident that that will occur, but it's not going to stop.
Yeah, and Elon Musk is confident that Tesla will achieve level 5 full self-driving by the end of this quarter.
President trying to figure out
for 16 years straight
to make sure we give relief to borrowers across the country.
And Les, can you just tell us any more about what?
Yes, tools. We make tools, and we make precision tools, right? Right? Like, we make tools that make tools, right?
We should expect to see tomorrow when the president visits East Palestine.
No, it's a good question. Obviously, we'll have more to share later today as we put out the daily guidance. As you know, and I've stated this before, the president, as you all know, is going to go to East Palestine, obviously, but he is going at the invite of the mayor. The president's going to hear directly from the people of East Palestine.
And then tell him about how his son Bo Biden died fighting in Iraq, right? So he knows what it's like. And in Delaware, we used to have chemical spills that would freeze on your window.
This is a trip that he has.
That's what he'll say.
Make, but wanted to make sure that it was the right time to do. Obviously, when the derailment happened, the federal agencies were on the ground within hours.
Yeah, but not Joe Biden. The best he could do was Mayor Booty Plug, right? He sent Pete Booty Plug in some brand new hard hat and Milwaukee vest, which I actually have that same exact Milwaukee vest that he wore.
Hours, and many of them have continued to be there, whether it's the EPA or FEMA.
The one with 20 pockets,
so
it's
that's
awesome.
What you're going to see. We'll have more details to share later today.
20 pockets, guys!
President,
20!
That goes out there, whether it's a red state, blue state, urban America, rural America, to hear and make sure that he is a president for all, especially when they're dealing with this awful event that happens specifically in this community. And look, one of the things that we've heard from this community, they do not want to be just known for one event, right? But at the same time, we have to be there for them. We have to hold Norfolk Suffolk accountable, which is what we're going to do. The Department of Transportation obviously continues to do that, and he will be on the ground and he will hear directly from the community.
Fuck Fender Gibson.
I just wanted to follow up on the Kansas City Chiefs shooting. Does the president?
Gibson makes the best guitars.
Shootings. Is he planning to go to Kansas City to sort of grieve with the people there in person? And
well, what I could say is obviously, let me just say, and I've already offered up our prayers for the families who lost their loved ones, and to the victims obviously as well. Many of them are children. And it is.
Ossie says, you don't know precision. You mess with things with Olympic-sized pools, legs and fingers. Yeah, but we also invent scientific equipment like scanning electron microscopes, right?
Stated by this, and also frustrated. It is frustrating to continue.
Oh shit. Are we back? Yeah, I'll tell you what's frustrating, Karine. It's this shitty internet connection I have. All right, let's go.
To talk about and put out, for him to put out a statement, or for me even, and I'm sure for all of you to cover another shooting. And this gun violence epidemic is really destroying our communities.
What is it?
An effect of our
guys, it's destroying our communities.
And
it's having an effect. It's destroying our communities and having an effect on our communities. Wow, so elegant, so pronounced, so stunning, so brave. Such a wordsmith.
To move forward.
There goes her eyelids. Look at those eyelids go. There they go.
With protecting our communities, but Congress needs to act. This is a president that has taken 24 executive actions on this particular issue. Obviously, we passed a historic piece of legislation, a bipartisan way.
Wow, all the new legislation, and you guys haven't even solved one gun shooting. You guys haven't stopped one mass shooting. It's almost like criminals don't care about laws. I don't know. What do I know, guys? I'm just a cartoon.
Just about 2 years ago, it is time for Congress to do more. We need them to do more. As it relates to travel to Kansas City, I don't have anything to read out to you at this time or anything to announce, but yes, it's important.
My
to go to
internet
the
issues can be
community,
traced
when it's
back
needed,
directly to Karine.
Obviously, when they've had such tragedy. But what is also important is Congress needs to act. This cannot continue. We cannot continue to see this epidemic. As I mentioned, several children were part of this shooting. When you hear that gun violence is the #1 killer of our kids here in this...
I thought it was vaccines. Oh, wait, I'm allowed to say that.
That's not okay.
On that issue,
Is the president planning to speak to the victims and or the families of the survivors? And then I have another question.
No, totally understand. Look, don't have anything to read out on that. The president is keeping regularly updated by his team. Obviously, they're going to continue their investigation on the ground, and we're offering all support needed to law enforcement and also obviously the community. But again, this is something, it is incredibly frustrating. It is incredibly frustrating. We need to see...
Guys, it's not the vaccines that are killing people. It's the unknown heart issues that are definitely not related to vaccines. I have to say that so they don't kick me off the internet again. So they don't take this channel away from me, too.
Can you also confirm Dalit Singh is returning to the White House? Dalit Singh, the...
I can't confirm that. I don't have anything for you on that. Yeah, you might know more than I do, actually.
Quick Kansas City clarification.
I'm sure everybody knows more than you do, Karine. My dog, I don't have a dog. Paige's dog knows more than you. And she's not too bright for a dog, I'll tell you that.
I didn't hear what she said. What did she ask?
Felix, baby!
Dalit Singh has come back to the White House. I just don't have anything. Or is coming back. I just don't have anything for you. Yes, I don't have anything for you.
A quick clarification on what you said about Kansas City at the beginning, because I've heard from a few people who were watching live as you said it. And according to the transcript, you said 2 people have died. The reports are 1. Did you know?
Well,
do you have different
one person has
I
died.
Different information from what I've been told from the team. The number that we have is 2.
They have 2, we have 1. So I don't know. He's right. We read 1 person's dead.
And I can go back to make sure, but that is what I've been told from the team.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a different...
Hey, Holy Harlot!
Totally understand, and I'm happy to make sure to clarify that for all of you, but that is what I was told from my team. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, well, your team sucks, and you suck. The whole administration sucks. All of you people suck.
Since the president's last physical, so can you give us any type of sense of timing for when the next physical will be?
It will happen.
It'll happen after the election.
I don't have a timeline for you. It will happen. I don't have a timeline. It will happen.
After the election.
We have done in the last 2 years. It will be transparent. We will have a memo for...
He'll take a mental competency test after the election so that he can claim that he's too feeble to stand trial for all of the bribes that he took as president and vice president and senator.
All of you, I just don't have anything for you at this time. It will happen.
And last year, you gave us about a 2 weeks notice. On February 1st, you told us it would be February 16th. So should we anticipate that you're going to give us that amount?
I will double check with the team on this. I don't have
Oh
the time.
God, how do you not have the answers? That's a simple fucking question, Karine. How do you not have the answer to that? God, you're so bad at your job.
I don't want to get ahead of what's going on, obviously, with the team, so I just don't have anything more to share at this time. But he will have one. He will have it. He will have obviously a physical. We will be transparent.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Just like we have been
I'm
in the
sorry.
last 2 years.
Let me turn it down. Let me kind of balance the two out. No, I have to be slightly louder. That way I can talk over her.
As we've done in the last 2 years.
How about that? Is that a little bit better?
Tuesday, President Biden
there we
came
go.
out and he said, I'm not going to answer your questions today. I will answer them tomorrow and the day after. Yeah. What was he talking about? Well, he was...
Yeah, because he has not answered any questions for us. He took, 6 questions over 4 minutes and then left and then hasn't answered any questions since. Hasn't really done anything of note since, actually.
He was outside yesterday and he took questions from some of you.
And what about today?
Today I don't have anything to share on his, beyond of what you all know, don't have anything to add on his public schedule.
Okay, and at the risk of tripping over the Hatch Act.
Is that what I do, trip over the hatch?
Yeah, oh God. You blame everything. You blame your incompetence on the Hatch Act, Karine. That's like one of your go-tos. I got to refer you to counsel. I'm encroaching on the Hatch Act.
No, I all over it for you. Nikki Haley recently made a pronouncement about President Biden's near-term plans, and I'm hoping to get your response. I will quote what she said over.
That's the thing about Joe Biden is he only has near-term plans, guys. Because he's got 1 foot and 1 toe in the grave.
At an event. Quote, my bet is 30 days from now, I don't think Joe Biden's going to be the nominee. You're going to have a female president of the United States. It's either going to be me or it's going to be Kamala Harris.
How about none of these candidates? Oh!
I'm going to be very careful here. As you just stated, there is a Hatch Act. I am a federal employee. I cannot speak to Nikki Haley's, I don't know, magic ball that she may have or whatever it is that she's trying to predict. I'm just going to be super, super careful here. And the president is obviously, you know his intentions for 2024. I'm just going to be...
Joe is the most competent president we've ever had. I beg to differ.
In the next 30 days.
The president...
Good one. Good one, Hillbilly.
I'm not sure what crystal ball she's looking at, but it's not the one we have.
Yeah, because it's definitely not going to be Nikki Haley or Kamala. Now, if you say Michelle Obama, I think that Michelle Obama would win the presidency. She's very well liked. She's, I think that I don't understand why Republicans are trying to get rid of Joe Biden, right? Like, if Joe is still the president and still the candidate and goes against Trump for election, it's a landslide Trump victory, right? Michelle Obama, I don't know, right? The media would push her so hard. I don't know. I don't think that Trump could beat Michelle. That's my opinion.
Go ahead.
So, Kansas City Police Department has said that the shooting yesterday was a result of a dispute between that involved 2 juveniles. I'm just wondering, given the fact that Congress doesn't appear likely to act anytime soon, are there any tangible steps the administration can take to help keep guns out of the hands of teenagers, particularly given that these happen in kind of neighborhoods all over the country?
No, it's a good question. That's why we say we need to do more. That is exactly why we say we need to do more. We need Congress to do more.
Well, look at what all you've done.
And I know your question about Congress.
Right? Why don't you guys just instead of going after AR-15s and bump stocks and things of that nature, right? Why don't you guys go after the real problem, which is handguns, right? Handguns are what are being used in many of these inner city shootings, right? Where these are the most violent things, right? Like these mass shootings are nothing, right? Compared to what happens in Chicago every weekend, right?
We have to put the pressure.
And that's done with handguns.
We were able to pass a bipartisan piece of legislation that the president signed into law, obviously 2 years ago. So they took the first step. They need to take another step. There is executive action. There is obviously the Office of Anti-Gun Violence that we started here. It's a historic office. It's going to do everything that we can to help communities as they're dealing with these types of tragedies, to make sure we're moving faster and with the bipartisan law on the Safer Communities Act, make sure things are moving at a rapid pace. And so that is kind of the goal of the office, but we actually need Congress to do more. We have to, and we have to put the pressure on them to do that.
If I'm not mistaken, it's already illegal in most places for people under 18 to have guns. Is this an enforcement issue? Is it that law enforcement needs to step up to get
I mean, look, there are many issues, right? Obviously law enforcement issues. There are many issues that need to be addressed, and that's why federal
we only got about 8 minutes left, guys.
This as well. But look, we're going to, I'm not going to get ahead
Let's see if Jack can get the question.
Is on the ground, what they're looking into, but it's a problem. It is devastating. It is devastating for once again to talk about a shooting, and it's not the only shooting that happened this week or yesterday even. And so...
No, rifles are not handguns. When I say handguns, I mean pistols and things like that. Right? Revolvers, yes, things like that. A rifle, I would not consider a handgun. That would be a long gun.
We have to get Congress to act. We have to get Congress to make sure that they're continuing to do the work that they started, right? If you think about high-capacity magazines, that needs to...
No, turning a shotgun into a handgun is illegal in America. You're not allowed to do that.
Assault weapons, we need to ban those. Safe storage of guns, that needs to be something that we continue to require. Pass a national red flag law. We see those in certain states, but we need that on a national level. We need to enact universally background checks. All of those things that I just laid out as you're asking me this question is going to have an effect. And so we need...
No, how about if you catch somebody with an illegal gun, they go to jail for 10 years, right? I thought that used to be the law. We used to do that, but now inside of cities, they've relaxed that because it's racist, guys, because young black men drive around with illegal guns. And if we go after illegal handguns, that's just racism. That's just persecuting black people.
To see those items dealt with by Congress, we need to see legislation. That is one of the solutions to reduce violence.
Missouri also has very lax gun laws statewide. Is this also an issue at the state legislative level that the state legislatures aren't?
We believe it. Yes, obviously, it's an issue at state legislative levels, but we've also lifted up some of these states that have done the extra actions, right, to make sure that their state is protected. But we also need Congress to act so we can see a national red flag law, so we can see a ban of assault weapons, right, so we can see high-capacity magazines also banned. These are all important. These are the things that I just listed out is going to save lives. Go ahead, April.
On that subject.
Yeah, white people go to jail for 10 years.
About this.
But we're not the ones driving around with illegal handguns. I mean, there probably are some white people doing it, but not at the same rate inside the cities.
And this is an election year. Do you expect the president to lean in to push Congress to act on gun legislation, gun reform, etc., leaning in on a consistent basis this year?
I mean, I think we've been pretty consistent on leaning in.
You guys have consistently sucked. You guys have consistently stepped in your own mess. You guys have consistently lied, gaslighted, deflected, and blamed Donald Trump for all of your failures.
On what we're seeing in communities, gun violence that we're seeing in communities, we've been pretty consistent on calling out Congress. I mean, this is the second time this week that I've talked about a shooting. I think maybe even a third time this week that I've talked about a shooting that's occurred, whether it's an anniversary or an active shooting that just happened.
Yeah, but didn't say a word about the Joel Osteen church shooting in Texas that was carried out by a liberal trans person with a AR-15 that said "Free Palestine" on the stock of the gun.
That day. And every time I'm at the podium, every time I talk about these devastating events, I talk about what the president has done. I talk about what Congress...
Yeah, hillbilly, they could take our weapons one bullet at a time.
What he's been able to do with Congress, and I've talked about what are the next steps. And so, look, we have seen from Americans across the country, gun violence is an issue that is important to them. That's why the president took historic actions. That's why we have that bipartisan Safer Communities Act that's now law. Those things are important, but we need to do more. We need to do more. And that is from
I agree, Can-Do Andrew. I agree. Now, I think that there should be, like we should crack down on crazy people getting guns, right? Like, if you have a mental illness, you shouldn't be able to get a gun. And a lot of these mass shootings, they're just crazy people.
To do more. Can you imagine the first 2 years of the president's
Or in this case, teenage thugs arguing over sneakers or whatever.
He did more than 2 dozen actions. That's unheard of. But that also shows you how committed he is to trying to...
People will kill each other with knives and sticks, right? That's what they do in Europe, right? The jihadis in Europe just go around stabbing people.
To stop this epidemic. To stop...
Instead of mass shootings, they just have mass stabbings.
Show commitment from this president. I don't know what else. And then having bipartisan conversation to pass the first anti-gun violence law in 30 years. In 30 years. I think the president has shown his commitment to this issue. What we need is Congress to take another step with us.
No, we don't need, the only step Congress needs to take regarding the Second Amendment is a step back. to go back to the way things used to be, right? Right? And as these trying times come upon us, guys, we have to realize that our right to defend ourselves against a tyrannical government is our most sacred and fundamental right, next to our right to call them out for being tyrants.
Real issue during the presidential election season, you think, for the president?
A third rail issue in what way?
Meaning it's polarizing. The gun issue is it's a very sensitive issue. You have Republicans and
awesome.
the gun lobby who will go.
Do you like guns, Aussie?
But look, we were.
Are you guys allowed to have guns in Finland? Like, what are the gun laws there? I'm sure everybody is also curious.
Able to do bipartisan legislation, right? Almost 2 years ago, we were able to do that. So obviously we have their attention. Obviously there's some care about what's happening in our communities. But we need to get them to take a step further, right? The gun lobbies cannot own this.
Further back. They need to go back.
We cannot allow them to take away our rights or our.
Switzerland has mandatory gun ownership. That's awesome.
We gotta.
That's how it should be in the United States too. I mean, if you read the way the Second Amendment is written, it almost tells you have to be armed, right? Right? It says that basically a well-armed citizenry is the best defense against tyranny, is what the sentiment of the amendment is.
Save lives here. Children were part of what we saw yesterday. It's not okay.
And lastly, East Palestine, Ohio. The president's traveling there. I can't help but think about when Obama went to Flint, Michigan, and he drank water there. I can't help about Jackson, Mississippi, and some of the officials drinking water there. It's two totally different situations with the water, but are you expecting the optics of the president drinking water tomorrow?
I can say this, that the president has no concerns with drinking the water.
So you heard it here, guys. Biden will drink the water in East Palestine. I mean, what fucking difference does it make? The guy's going to be dead in a year anyway. Like, what difference does it make whether he drinks the poison water or not? He's already pretty much dead. Okay, Aussie says, we have pretty free gun laws if you're not a hardened criminal, but we can't have them in self-defense. Almost all hobby-based guns are allowed. Okay, so they're not for self-defense. So they're for target shooting, stuff like that. But you can't shoot somebody for entering your house, is what you're saying. Right? I believe that's what you're trying to say.
In East Palestine, the EPA is confident that the drinking water is safe. I'm sure some of you might remember when the EPA Administrator Regan was there one of the many times that he's visited. He drank the water there last year, so we have no concerns.
Okay. Thanks, Karine. The Senate's on recess.
It might help his Alzheimer's to drink the poison water. Let's go back. I think, who's talking now?
Okay.
Not Jack.
The Senate's on recess. They're not back until the 26th. The House will go on recess until the 28th, and there's a government funding deadline coming up on March 1st. Does the White House want to see Congress cut recess short and come back and deal with spending bills ahead of that deadline?
I mean, you just said something that's very true. Like,
that's quite astute. Hey, that's quite astute there, Holy Harlot. She says Biden is older than Clinton, who was president 30 years ago. Yes, that's true. That's true.
Decided to leave early, and they went on recess. That's what they decided to do. While there are important issues in front of them that they're just not dealing with. That's the House leadership. They made that decision. And it's kind of unfortunate. We need them to do the people's business. They have a really important national security supplemental in front of them that they should take up, that if put on the floor, it would get bipartisan support. There was a bipartisan border deal that came out of the Senate. The House leadership, Speaker more specifically, did not want to deal with it. He killed that bill. I mean, there are issues upon issues that they can deal with, and they refuse to. Instead, They went and impeached Secretary Mayorkas on a baseless, shameful way. And so, look, they left early. That's for them to speak to, but that's not what we want to see.
I'm going to have to refer you to the House Republican caucus.
Here, we want them to take action and actually move forward on behalf of the American people.
The Senate's out too. Are you concerned that they're cutting this too close to get government funding done? And how worried are you about a shutdown in early March?
We believe we're always concerned about a shutdown, but we believe that Congress, both House and the Senate, obviously is their job to keep the government.
Thank you,
open.
blind dude.
And we want them to do that. We want them to continue to keep the government
Way to
open.
contribute to the show.
Basic duty to do that. And so that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. And they should act sooner, not later. Okay, John.
What about
the other day you were talking about the crime rate across the country, and you were absolutely correct in saying how the crime rate has gone down in several large cities, New York and Chicago. But here in the district, it is not. There were 274 homicides here in the District of Columbia in 2023. That's the highest murder rate in more than 2 decades, since 1997.
Since the crack-ademic.
The president's home, at least a few days.
That's the most people that have died since the CIA was pushing crack on the streets of D.C.
What can he do personally about reducing the level of crime that we're seeing here in the nation's capital?
So let me
You're
just
hilarious,
be very clear,
Harley.
all violent crime, not just here, all violent crime anywhere is completely unacceptable. We just want to make that very clear here. Every community in this country should feel safe, want to be safe, and so that's important. But I will say this, congressional Republicans, they don't seem to feel that way. And I say this because the president has taken action. From the first piece of legislation that he signed into law,
I get no respect, I tell you.
Only Democrats voted for that. Republicans didn't vote for that. There was billions of dollars in that plan to deal with crime, to make sure there were more law enforcement in communities, to make sure that communities are able to keep families and Americans safe. They didn't vote for that. And we're talking about billions of dollars to federal, state, and local governments, and they didn't vote for it. And so, look. I just talked about the bipartisan gun safety legislation, where he was able to secure that. He took that very seriously, worked with, in that particular instinct, worked with both sides of the aisle to get that done, something we hadn't seen, again, in 30 years. Just last month, the Department of Justice committed more federal prosecutors, agents, and analysts to fighting gun crime in D.C. That matters. That's an action that the Department of Justice took. So, look, we need to do more. But the president has taken this very seriously. From the first couple of months of his administration, signing that American Rescue Plan and getting billions of dollars into communities was indeed incredibly important. Again, Republicans did not sign that. They did not vote for that.
So it's just a Republican issue, the large number of homicides that we're seeing here in the district.
Yeah, it's a even though D.C. is run by Democrats, it's definitely the Republicans' fault, guys. It's always Republicans' fault when Democrat-run cities go to fuck. It's because of Republicans.
That's not the question you asked me. You asked me, you asked me, what else can the president do? I laid out what the president did. I also called out Republicans for not doing enough, for not working with the president on trying to actually deal with an issue. That's what you asked me. That's what I answered. Go ahead, Ed.
No, that's not even how that happened.
They're two very different questions. One on China and the southern border. More than 20,000 Chinese migrants have illegally crossed the southern border in 2024, and the vast majority, according to the National Border Patrol Council president, have been single men of military age. What kind of national security issue is this, given China's hacking of U.S. infrastructure, the spying that they do, and the other aggressions?
Remember, guys, my money is on, Chinese hackers fucked up the whole infrastructure so we can't have an election or whatever. Something like that happening.
We take that very seriously, what's happening at the border. Everybody, we try to make sure that, as it relates to unlawful crossings, we certainly do everything that we can to make sure that we deal with that in a real way. Look, the DHS has fully mobilized their agency to deal with what's happening. We saw in January, we saw a 50% drop from the month before.
Felix, I went to D.C. in 1988 for a school trip. I did. I saw the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I saw the Capitol building. We couldn't go inside because it was being remodeled. I saw the White House. We went to Arlington Cemetery. Yeah, I already said that. I saw the Lincoln Memorial. I actually climbed on it, I think. I remember it like that.
Of illegal entries. That matters. And so this is why, to your question, this is why it was really important to get the border security negotiation done. We understand there's a challenge at
Me Chinese, me play trick, me is hacking all your grid.
Border. We understand we need to do more. We understand that there's an immigration system that has been broken for decades. We had a bipartisan agreement. We wanted Congress in the House to pass that, to move that forward, and they didn't. And so DHS is fully mobilized, is doing, since May of last year, they have been able to remove more than 500,000 illegal crossing.
Yeah, but what about the 20,000 Chinese?
So that is something that they're going to continue to
work. The question was not about all that. The question is, what about these Chinese that are sneaking into the country amidst ongoing concerns about the Chinese hacker group inside of all of our critical infrastructure?
Work really hard. The president has added more CBP, more patrol officers on the border, but we need more. We understand we need more.
And on the student loans things you did, the CBO director testified on Capitol Hill yesterday saying that the fiscal policy currently is unsustainable. Then he went on to say that the changes to the SAVE program for forgiving more student loan debt would cost taxpayers more than $100 billion. Why is it worth all taxpayers to burden this cost?
So look, I'm not going to get ahead of a CBO projection. I'm just going to be really careful here. What the president has said over and over again, and I just went back and forth with one of your colleagues on this, he wants to make sure that we give Americans a little bit more breathing room. That is important to this president.
We got to give them a breathing room, guys,
we understand what
but
student
just a
loans
little
do
bit.
for families. It crushes families. It crushes Americans. So he wants to continue to do everything that we can to make sure that they have that breathing room. And so
I'm going to have my breathing room installed on the left side of the van.
Not going to stop him, and we believe the actions that we take, I think that's one of the questions that I got from your colleagues, we believe that it has legal standing so that we can move forward with them. But look, it is an important issue. It is an issue that Americans care about, and we're just not going to stop moving forward on them. Okay, all right.
Guys, I almost went to D.C., right? But YouTube shut my channel down during that time. If YouTube had not shut my channel down, I would be in jail for insurrection right now. That's a fact. That's a fact. Isn't that crazy? YouTube saved my ass. All right, guys. That's it, I think. Looks like Karine's walking away from the podium.
Bye, everybody.
Yep, it's over. She didn't give no question to Jackie because she's a fucking cunt. She's a fucking scared-ass bitch who feels insecure in her job and is very bad at it. So she should be insecure. Why would the CCP invade when they can just pay our politicians to run America? Well, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe they need more secret police officers. They need more secret Chinese biolabs. They need more secret spies to take pictures of our military bases. You know. All the grift that the Chinese do. Yeah, I kind of remember your name, Aussie. Yeah. Someone donate to SpaysE. Yeah, someone donate to me. I like donations. Good advice, holy harlot. Yeah, if you guys want to donate, you know, the stupid YouTube took my channel away, and I don't get ads anymore, and I'm also shadow banned, and I don't get new subscribers. So if you guys want to help me out, I dropped some links in the chat on how you can do that. That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This video is not available to the public. Only people that are subscribed will even know that I had a video. No, I can't get super chats or nothing, Joker. The only thing you can do is Venmo or Cash App. I'm not going to do that, blind dude. No. I'm not going to game the system. What they're doing to me is wrong, and I am right. And that's why I will not make fake accounts or anything. I have a Rumble channel, and I'm migrating it over there. I just don't get, there's just like no chat there and or anything. I like interacting with all you guys. Like, it makes the show better. It makes the show much better. Get a lawyer? I can't do that because I'm poor. No, I can't get memberships or anything, Joker. I get nothing. 9! Oh, one day there will be. I guarantee you, blind dude, one day there will be a class action lawsuit. One day there will be, and I will get vindicated at that time. Yeah, that's why, well, you guys got to realize, I anticipated all of this happening, right? I didn't know that it was actually, this has all been an experiment. As you guys know, the reason I went to college to become a software engineer was to develop a decentralized social media platform that works on blockchain technology, right? In order to make censorship impossible, right? This has been an experiment, and I'm not going to go too much into it because I'm waiting until after the project launches before I lay it all out. Yes, you guys are all lab rats. Go put on blackface, go to the border and get asylum. I know. I would get like $10,000 in spending money. Not next week. But I am working on it. I hit some difficulties recently. So the way my app works is it uses the uTorrent DHT swarm in order to communicate through DHT nodes, right? And they just changed how that works recently, how the DHT swarm. So all the DHT, all of the BitTorrent swarm things have been consolidated into like one repo now called Hole Punch. And it just changed how everything works a little bit. So I have to rebuild the network. That's what I've been doing lately. But no, the plan is that it launches actually on 4/20. It's not going to be as good as I was hoping, because there's a huge problem I haven't solved yet. So that problem, we're going to launch without that problem solved. Just because I need to get this project off my plate too. I've spent this will be the 3rd year I've spent on it. So I'm actually 31 months into the project right now. Well, I'm actually 3 years into the project, actually. All right, Felix, I'll see you around. Yeah, guys, so oh, it works. It definitely works. I don't know how well it's going to scale up. Holy harlot. No, it's not going to work great. It's going to be very limited in what it can do. But if it becomes popular, I'll build it out more, right? So, yeah. If it becomes, like, if there's something there, if people use the app, I'll keep improving it. Like, there's, like, a lot of things I can do with it. One of my ideas is, like, a decentralized eBay and put that right inside of it. Another thing is, like, a ride share, like a peer-to-peer ride share network, right? Yeah. Yeah, all those things, right? Also, there is a decentralized peer-to-peer currency exchange, like a cryptocurrency exchange, so that no gatekeepers to financing for crypto projects, because that's another problem I've faced, is gatekeepers who won't give me access to funding for my project, because there's billions of dollars out there in funding for crypto. I just can't get access to any of it. Yeah, so, yeah, guys. So that's going to be it for the show. God, we crushed it. 2.5 hours. That was a pretty good show. Yeah, no, you guys are going to see. I'm hoping that within the next 3 weeks, I have a test version. Say I'm trans. Well, you know, I am in touch with my feminine side. Maybe I'm gender fluid. Right? Right? I accept I accept both my feminine and masculine traits, right? So I guess I'm gender fluid queer. I don't know. No, I do know, actually, Holy. Yeah, we crushed it. Oh, yeah. We're almost into 3 hours, baby. Yeah, and yeah, I've taken no, like, private or public funding at all for my app. Like, I've suffered the slings and arrows. I've lived off cheese and bananas, right? In order to do this, right? Just like my hero, Alexander Graham Bell, right? He did the same thing. And I'm doing what he did, right? You have to suffer, right? Okay, so, right, life is suffering. This is Jordan Peterson said this, right? Everyone suffers in life, right? The key is to make your suffering, make what you're doing worth the suffering, right? So everyone's going to suffer. So since you're going to suffer anyway, you might as well do something awesome, right? All right. So, yes. Yeah, so help ease my suffering and send me money. Links are in the chat. All right, guys. That's been it for the show. I will see you guys all tomorrow. And remember, we go live with all kinds of content whenever the fuck I want. And you never know when that will be. That's why the best way to stay informed is to subscribe and keep... I'm reading the chat. And click the little bell. Make sure you guys have notifications because you'll never see me again. All right. All right, guys.